That are being used here. Oklahoma Republican Senator Jim Inhofe is the ranking member on the Senate Armed Services Committee, and we welcome you to the program back again, sir. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Martha.
Does this discrepancy disturb you?
No, it doesn't disturb me. I mean, General Dempsey was very courageous. He answered truth, and he's under oath, and so he has to do that. And besides that, he's a military man, and he did it. Now the White House is trying to cover up some of the things he said. But look, this obsession the president has over this boots on the ground, Martha, we already have boots on the ground. He made that very clear during yesterday's session. And are there going to be more boots on the ground? I asked the question, I said, you know, we're doing airstrikes. What happens if one of our planes go down? Are we going to have someone on the ground to defend, to protect the pilot who bails out? His response, absolutely. So, you know, this is a war, and I know the president is trying to continue to characterize this as a bunch of ragtag terrorists out there. That's not the case. They have somewhere between 30 and 40,000 trained troops that are getting better training every day. They've tripled in size in the last 2 months. So it's a huge military out there with heavy artillery, with tanks. And so we're going to have to recognize this is a threat to mainland United States. Yeah. Fortunately, the polling has shown this last week that 70% of the people in America understand that.
It's clear that Americans are in that mindset at this point, according to all of the polls we've seen. I think the word disturbing that I used really refers to the question of whether or not the Pentagon and their understanding of what needs to happen to win and the White House are on different pages. Do you think that's the case?
Oh, I think that's the case. And keep in mind, though, that the White House has a lot of influence over what stuff is sent out from the Pentagon. And I frankly think that our Secretary Hagel did a good job, too. He is not playing down the fact that this is something that's very dangerous. And you know, the White House, they're concerned about statements they've made in the past, boots on the ground. It's an obsession with the president. But nonetheless, this is a war. Our homeland is at risk, and we've got to win the war. Now, I had the brother of the King of Jordan in my office yesterday, and he agreed with us. America is going to have to be in there as a part of this coalition, but a leading part of the coalition. Now, a big problem we have, no one wants to talk about this, but what this president has done to our military in the last 6 years, I call it the disarming of America. Now, this is coming home to haunt us now. We don't have the resources we've historically had.
But, Senator, you're describing a scenario where you agree with the brother of the King of Jordan. Martin Dempsey, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, outlined very different perspectives on what his take has been on all of this. He said, I would have left troops in Iraq. He said, I would have supported the Free Syrian Army earlier. And he said that if need be, I will go to the president and recommend that we put ground troops. I mean, these are completely very different scenarios from what's happening. So everybody can agree with you, but the president of the United States, it sounds like, does not and has not throughout the course of these statements that was made by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Martha, I can remember being on your show before when this all started and saying the president can't pull everything out. He at least has to leave the ISR, that's intelligence, surveillance, and recon. And that was the advice of Dempsey. That was the advice of us on the Armed Services Committee, and the president didn't do it. And now it's come home to haunt him. And this is a very serious war that we're involved in.
But what now is the question? Because the president has a different view, which he has made very clear. He doesn't want any ground troops there. We know from the past that the president has not had, you know, the kind of relationship of daily discussions with, you know, generals in the past and leadership in the past. McChrystal, Petraeus, all saying at different points that they didn't have that kind of daily check-in with the president that President Bush, for example, had when he was involved in the Iraq war that he was overseeing. So my question to you is, you know, you may say, well, we were right about all these things, but the president does not agree, and he is the commander-in-chief. So where does that leave us?
All right, he's the commander-in-chief, and this president responds to one thing, and that is public opinion. When the public demands that we defend America, he will do it. But it's all with poll driven. And by the way, the polls, as I mentioned, with 70% of the people knowing that our homeland's in danger, I think he'll have to respond, if for no other reason, that this is the popular thing that's going to help his legacy.
Understood. And if America is going to lead in this effort and bring in a coalition, there has to be a clear goal that is set and understood by everybody who's involved.
A strategy.
So we will see where this goes. Senator Inhofe, thank you very much. Good to have you here, sir.